Hey, this is the Daily Overpass. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today, let's talk about embracing the uncertainty. So last month was my 20-year anniversary coming to the UK. So I came to the UK, I graduated, I got my degree in history on the 15th of May 1998, and on the 19th I flew out here. So to join my newborn baby and my wife and to get a job as quick as I could. And I got a job, I talked about this before, in a factory. We called it the dairy, but there were no cows. It was a factory. They made yogurt, and my job, I got the first job I could get, which was to work there and basically work at the end of a conveyor belt, picking up pots of yogurt as they came off the conveyor belt, packing them into boxes, and when the boxes were full, you send the box down, and you just do that for 8 hours a night. And I was doing that from 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. So it was a 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift. And at the end of that, I would go home and I would stop at the newsagent because it was open at 6 a.m. and get all the newspapers that had job ads in them. And then I would go home and do all the CVs for them. So I didn't have email, and most of them didn't have email addresses in them back then in '98. So it was, printing off a CV, printing off a cover letter, putting the stamp on it, sending it out, and spending money on stamps, which I didn't really have. And doing the CVs. And I can remember, I mean, it was really dark times. In fact, 2 months I worked at the dairy, and I had 2 job interviews. I had 3 job interviews. One of them I finally got, but one of them was to a night manager of a Blockbuster video in Oxford, which I didn't get. I can't tell you how devastated I was. I didn't get that job. And another one was a ticket collector on the trains. So, tickets please. That was what I nearly got, and somehow I got into IT. I got that job in Canary Wharf, where I wore a suit that I got from a charity shop for £8 and felt like the biggest fraud of my life, but went down there and did that. But this was a really dark time. I can remember we had this fight about, I had to buy a printer so I could print out the CVs, right? And we had this argument about, we can't afford to buy a printer. We can't afford. I said, but I need to be able to look for a job. If I can't do CVs, we can't look for a job. And it was like, yeah, but we can't afford it. We don't make enough money. We can't make enough to eat. We got to all this other stuff. We're maxed out on the credit cards. We have lots of debt, and it was a really dark time, right? And the hard bit about all of it was the uncertainty, right? Because after the fact, I could tell this story, oh, those tough times, all this kind of stuff. But at the time, it was not knowing whether or not filling out those CVs every day, sending them off to, I do at least 10 CVs a day. I kept doing it, and a lot of the time I felt like maybe I'm just wasting my time. Maybe this is not going to work out, right? It was the uncertainty of it all that helped me out. If somebody could say, you just keep doing what you're doing, you're definitely 100% going to get a job, then that would have been something, but nobody could say that because it just wasn't true. I mean, I just had to keep trying. It was really hard, and a lot of times when we do things, it's the uncertainty that makes them hard. Is that we don't know whether or not it's going to work out. It's the same with the app market. A lot of times people will ask me, say, Eric, can you have a look at my app idea and tell me if it would work? And I said, dude, if I knew if your app idea would work, then I would have a lot more app ideas that work. Right? I have some that work, some that don't, but it's the uncertainty of it all. I do know if you don't do anything, there's a 100% chance that it won't work. Right, so it's the same with everything. It's the same with going for a job, the same with doing anything where you're making money from it. We don't get that kind of certainty, and that's what makes life hard. It's always easy after the fact. It's always easy to tell the story. I can look back fondly at those horrible times with a screaming baby, and we're fighting and arguing all the time because we didn't have enough money, and I'm thinking, I have to move on. I felt like, I can remember feeling like I was going to be at that dairy, because you see people who were there for like their entire lives, and they were retiring there. They start there as a kids, and they retired there, and I was 25 years old. I had my degree, but that wasn't getting me anywhere, and I remember thinking, this is going to be it. This is, I could see these older guys, and that's going to be me in 10 years or 20 years, I'm going to be this guy working at a dairy. But I would still do the CVs every day and kept doing that. And And luckily it worked. Luckily, yeah, I did get the job, and I kept trying, kept battering, like I say, battering at the walls until they give in. And a lot of you guys out there are in the same situation. You're putting an app on the app market and it's not working yet. And you're wondering whether or not you're wasting your time, whether or not it's worth doing, right? And I wish I could tell you that if you keep doing what you're doing, it's gonna work. But I can't. I just have to know. I can tell you that if you don't do anything, nothing's gonna work. If what you're doing is not working, change it, try something different. Right? I can tell you things that we've done in the past that have worked. And I can tell you things that, and there's lots of good practices out there, but it's tough to say this, but a lot of the times you have to embrace the uncertainty of it all. Right? I put apps out there all the time, you know, or looking for new clients all the time, or taking on more costs that I could, you know, think, oh, hopefully we get that new client in, everything like that. And it's always the uncertainty, and it's always a risk that we take, and that's what helps us grow, and that's what helps us do better. So anyway, just recounting those old stories, thinking about it. 20 years ago today, I was still in the dairy. I had no idea where my life was going to go. And I guess I still don't. But anyway, that's it for today. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.